Hi, welcome back to my channel. Thank you for joining me today. Today I'm bringing you the third process video for the April for the Love of Homemade Kits. And today I am going to scrapbook a picture of me from Happy Times when I was at the Scrapbook Expo and buying all kinds of lovely paper and pretty stuff, which I haven't done since I've been on a spending freeze and we are quarantined to the house. So the first thing I did was went through the papers that I have left, and I have this mixed media paper that I started with. If you remember in my first process video, I had talked about a page that I had made that didn't turn out quite right. It was a very pastel-y, very bright, and this has more like to the green tones, and it just didn't look good to me. But I went with what a lot of the mixed media people say, which is to keep layering and keep doing and keep going. Missy Whidden is one of those that is great about not giving up on a background. So for the last 2 weeks, every once in a while, I'll pull it back and I will try and add a little bit more to the layout. And I actually kind of like how it turns out. So the first thing I did was over the watercolors that I had put in there, I had gone over it with white gesso to tone the watercolors down and mute them a little bit so they weren't as Easter eggy. Then I had gone back in with Heidi Swapp Color Shine in gold, and I had done a lot of splattering and a lot of dripping. Then I went through with white acrylic paint several different times and dripped and tried to layer up the white splatters. Then I went with, I have some the Crafters Workshop Champagne Gold modeling paste, which is like butter. It's really cool. So I take my palette knife and I gooped it on the edge and kind of did crisscrossy patterns in there. And then I took some of my Heidi Swapp, it's the Art Screen ink that I had, and mixed that with some of my white glimmer modeling paste that was in my kit. And those are the splotches that you'll see with the darker blue and kind of that burgundy pink color. And so in the end, it's a lot of different textures and layers upon layers. Now, I'm not going to claim to be a mixed media guru by any means, but I do like kind of how it turned out. And for a picture just me at the Scrapbook Expo, it's kind of a cool, fun way to scrapbook the story. So I'm just showing you the different layers. I had tried to do a real-time video. It was just too long, and I wasn't going to make you guys suffer through another one. So I did speed this up a little bit. So I'm taking the picture of me at the Scrapbook Expo in front of all the lovely goodness, and I cut it down a little bit. Now I'm just using some of the papers that were in my 6x6 paper pad that I threw in my kit, and I'm mounting the picture on yellow. Then I'm going to use this tissue paper I found in my room when I was cleaning one day, and I'm just going to fold it all up, and I am going to do a lot of different messy cuts and layers. Now I know some people will staple in the middle. I don't like doing that because I'm afraid that with the heaviness of my books that the staple would poke a hole through my picture from behind. So I just go through and run a couple strips of ATG here and there throughout. And if it crinkles the page, I'm okay with that because, again, it's giving that kind of messy look that you have when you're doing a mixed media layout. So I'm all right with that. And it gives just a little bit more of the texture that I'm looking for with this kind of a layout. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to trim off the tissue paper, but I'm going to go in and I'm going to kind of hunk it up a little bit so that you can see all the different layers that are on the tissue paper, that I'm not just on one, but I have a whole group of it going through, and I just want it messy cut. And then I'm going to take all of this and I'm going to mat it on the blue polka dot paper you see in the upper left-hand corner. And it just gives it the final look. So here I am, I'm just going through the last few pieces of the loose paper and adding a little bit more adhesive in here just to make sure that it's all adhered down. And then I'll do that final layer. Now when I'm doing these layers, I can use my ATG gun, but when I actually get to the point where I'm going to glue everything down to the background, because of the mixed media, you do want to use a wet adhesive, and I used the Scotch Quick Dry adhesive, and that helps to have it adhere. So here's where I'm doing all those messy cuts and just kind of giving it a trim and making it how I want it. Again, it's not being perfect. I'm kind of hacking it up, but that's the look I'm going for. And I had taken and matted the background onto the black cardstock to try and help with the warping that happens when you do mixed media. Even though I covered it with gesso, you still get a lot of the warping going on. And I just used a lot of adhesive. And when by the time it gets in my book on the black cardstock, and then it's in the heaviness of the book, it will all flatten out and eventually, so you won't have that buckling that you see right now. It will all tame down in the end. So I decided I wanted to pull in a doily from my stash and kind of soften up the picture from the background, because again, you still want the picture to be the focus and the background is supposed to accent it. So that doily helps to kind of break it up, and you can still see the mixed media through the holes of the doily, so it doesn't cover it totally up. And now I'm just showing you I have this cut apart, and I'm trying to decide between the heart and the tag that says Remember Today, both of which matches my shirt and also matches that little bit of a burgundy color in the mixed media background. So I decide I'm going to go with the Remember Today, and I'm going to build up from that tag. So, and I'm getting, now it brings in more of that color of the pinky burgundy color. So in my room next to me, I have a stash of tags that I've bought, but also tags that I've made. So I'm just auditioning a few of them to see how I want to lay these out. I thought about that grid tag, but it was too much to the beige tones or the off-white tones, whereas the background has that white acrylic paint. So I want to go more with a white background to match the tissue paper, the acrylic paint, and the doily. I found this We Are Memory Keepers tag, and then I'm not sure where the other one came from. I think it's just an American Crafts tag with the yellow. I'm going to go ahead and put those layered up underneath, and then I'm going to use the other half of the doily in the upper right hand or the upper left hand corner to make my other cluster. And so I'm just building up one whole cluster piece, and you'll see where I start to glue it all into one, and it helps it be easier. So a lot of these tags that I have here are ones that I used scrap pieces of paper and made my own tags. So I'm just going through and finding some that will match with the colors. I thought about the gold one, but it was just too different of a yellow than the lower tag. And then I decide I'm going to grab out these gold edged ones, but it's very white in the middle. So I want to kind of layer them between. So I will kind of tuck it in, and so it's the white isn't sticking in your face, and it's just an accent on top. So you'll see that when I actually put it together, it'll be sandwiched between those and not sticking out totally. So I'm liking how this is looking. So now I'm just going to go ahead with my adhesive and start building those layers and gluing everything together. And again, because I'm building that cluster first, I can use the ATG and I can move it around on the page. And then when I decide that I'm done and I like where everything's at, then what I'm going to do is take my Scotch Quick Dry adhesive and then I'll glue the whole large cluster down. Now the upper cluster, most of it's going to be glued to the black cardstock, so I won't have to use a wet adhesive for that. So here you can see where I'm just taking the adhesive and I'm going through, and I had to remove a little bit, so you can just, with the ATG, you can just kind of roll it. And now I'm just sandwiching them together. I like how it looks, so now I'm going to adhere those behind the journaling card. When I like how that looks, I'm going to attach the journaling card to the picture cluster and sandwich that in. And then I'm going to flip it over, and then I'm going to adhere the doily to the back of the pictures. And now they're all adhered into one big cluster that I can move around. Now, because I'm doing mixed media and I don't do it a lot, but I love how Missy Whidden does her thing, I'm going to take some thread that I had on my desk from sewing masks, and I'm going to add some thread in. And again, that just gives you another texture that you can use. First, I'm going to go ahead and build this upper cluster. So you see how I'm gluing it to the cardstock and not to the mixed media background. I'll trim that up, and then again, I'm going to take those remaining tags and I'm going to build that cluster in there. Again, gluing them to the doily and not using wet adhesive. Oh, here's the twine, or the thread. So I'm just peeling off a bunch of this white thread, and I'm just going to tangle it up and throw it underneath the tag cluster, and it just gives it it's just something neat about it. It's just a neat texture that you'll see underneath. And I'm going to do it in 3 different sections on the lower cluster, and then when I get the tag cluster done up above, I will add a little bit more in there as well. So when you're looking at the layout, you see all the different depths of the mixed media between the flat background with the watercolor, with the gesso over the top, all the drips from the acrylic paint and the Heidi Swapp Cold Color Shine, and then you get the texture pastes in there, and layered on top with that sparkling, again, it's that glitter, what's the name of it? Put it away. Hang on. Where did I put it? Well, now I don't know where I put it. But it's a Liquitex adhesive or mixed gesso that's got some glitter in it. And it's really kind of cool. And when you added the Heidi Swapp Color Shine in there, it now gives it that glittery look. And you'll see that in the close-ups. So for those and for my picture mat, I did take that liquid adhesive and put that all down. And I'm just showing you here that above the Remember Today, I'm going to put my title in that section. And so I'm using that whole piece as my cluster. So here's where I'm starting out, and I'm doing the clusters above. And I'm just showing you how I make my tags. So I used the bottom half of the yellow and white tag that I cut off, and I'm just using the other tag that I made to cut out and make a second tag. So now I'm bringing that yellow and white up above, along with that gold outlined one, and then the one with the triangles that I had in my stash. And I'm just, again, building those clusters up together, varying the sizes and how I'm sandwiching them together. And then I'll cut off the excess after it's put up above and trim that off. And again, because it's on paper, I don't have to use the wet adhesive. The ATG will hold it. And here I'm just trimming off that little bit of excess. And there you go. So, and here's where I'm going to put a little bit more of that thread in and bring that up to the upper cluster. And she just kind of makes like a nest and then just tucks it in. And she'll just take her wet adhesive, run a little bit over the top and smush down your embellishment, and it just holds it all in place. And I like how that looks. I don't do it all the time, but when I do it, I really like the look. So now I'm going through my embellishments and I'm going to start decorating. And I took out these crepe paper puffy stickers, and I'm trying to figure out the title. And because it's a Scrapbook Expo, I thought about Happy Remember Today, but the ascending R and B on the word remember, it was kind of overlapping. And then I came close to saying love this, but I didn't think I could get it squeezed in. I really looked at how I could do it, and I didn't like it layering over the tags. I really wanted it all to stay on the pink journaling card. So I end up not using any of those. I will, however, grab the gold stars that are on here, the puffy stars, and I will sprinkle those around the page. And I'll have those in both the upper and lower cluster. So I'm going to use this typewriter font, and I'm going to write the word Expo in the black with white lettering, and then I'm going to put the word scrapbook using the white background with black lettering. And so then my title will end up being Scrapbook Expo Remember Today. And I think that's perfect for what I'm doing. So you're going to see me futz with these for a few minutes. I tried to get it as best I could to center. And again, the Expo fits perfect in the ascending R and the B. And then I try and center with a little bit of finagling the scrapbook over the top of that. And so these were also in my kit, so I didn't have to go out of my stash for that. I only went out of my stash for the tags and for the thread and the doily. Everything else I was able to use what was in my kit, so I'm pretty happy with that. I tried to get an Amy Tan sticker on from that sticker book, but it didn't work this time around, so next layout I'll try and concentrate again on that sticker book. I'm pretty happy though with being able to get a few things out of my stash today. So here you can see I'm just futzing with the letters. So I hope you have a chance to check out everyone else who's doing the For the Love of Homemade kits this month. I do have the links down in the description box to the actual formula or the recipe, which is on Christina Sorage's blog. And then I have the links to everyone else's channels who is participating. I think there's quite a few of us that are actually doing kits this month, and so check them out and see what they're all bringing to the table. I know a lot of people that are doing the homeschooling with the kids and things, they might not be getting them up on a regular basis like they were wanting to because, the work from home and the priorities with the kids, of course, are taking precedent. So just keep an eye out on their channels, and they I'm sure will get them up. So you can see here I try to use that typewriter because I think of typing with journaling, which is a scrapbook thing, which would go with Scrapbook Expo. I just didn't like how it looked up there, so I end up not using it. I end up taking these clear butterflies from my Vicki Boutin sticker pad, and I'm going to tuck them in, and they kind of pull up a little bit. And I liked how that little bit of that gold butterfly or moth, whichever it is, on that white tag kind of covered it up so it wasn't so in your face white. And I like how it's kind of tucking out from under the other tag. So I like how that looked. So now I'm going through and I found the phrase stickers in the pad. So up above I'm putting Today is Awesome and Fun Starts Here, because anytime you can go and buy scrapbook supplies at a huge expo convention center and the whole thing is filled with pretty goodness, it's a fun day. So I liked those. I thought those represented the day pretty well. And then in the bottom above the journaling card, I'm putting Sweet Dreams Are Made Here, or Sweet Dreams Are Made of These. And then I have in that off piece that I put down below from the We Are Memories Keeper tag, I put Fun This Way and an arrow pointing to the picture. And then I am going to take out of the sticker pad, I'm going to find a banner that says Happiness in gold. And then I'm taking these little spot stickers and using them like they are just enamel dots, and I'm sprinkling those here and there along the page. And that's going to be it for the sticker book. The last thing I'm going to do is I am going to go in and I'm going to grab a few more of the stars from that puffy sheet, and I'm going to put a few more in each of the clusters. And that's going to be it for my layout. I will adhere everything down with some adhesive off camera when I'm done, just to make sure everything is stuck really good to the mixed media background. But again, I want to thank you for joining me and for subscribing to my channel. I really appreciate everyone who's followed along. I know I haven't been as consistent as I truly want to be, and hopefully things will quiet down and we'll get back into a regular routine again. And be on the lookout. On the 25th, I will have another April 25th, or Christmas on the 25th for April. And on the 26th, I will have another 6x6 on the 6th. And here are some close-ups for you. Check out the links below, and you have a great day, and thanks for joining me today.